today is that there's not any soul in the music.
Soul music today is kind of lacking.
I don't even listen to the radio
Because they play the same, 5 songs.
I'm the kind of person who listens to good music, professional music with meaning, feelings,
When you make music pop art, which it is today, okay, a little bit of the soul disappears.
Started back in New Orleans, where everyone wanted to be like the Jacksons. Growing up my age group, everyone saw the Jacksons do what they did, wanted to be just like them. I had family members that were in the business. I had cousins that opened up for the Temptations, and I had an older brother that really wanted Tracy and I to, follow his footsteps in the whole singing thing. So it was a little bit of an inspiration to follow in the footsteps of, the cousins and my brother, and just want to be like the Jacksons, man.
I first started my group, my influences were people I grew up with, Temptations, Dramatics, Funkadelic. We were heavily influenced by Morris Day and the Time. I was a big Prince fan. I wasn't little and cute, so I had to go with the other alter ego, the Morris Day thing. So in fact, on YouTube, there's footage of us doing the Bird to Morris Day's music. And that was probably our biggest influence. I love this whole persona.
I started out just as a kid playing piano, man. I didn't even know I could make money doing music, really. It was just I just like to do it.
My cousin, DJ Speed of NWA, kind of influenced me to get into music. So I heard him and I was witness with Easy was doing with the whole NWA movement. And when I seen they were becoming successful, it was a real powerful thing to see them come from gang banging, hanging on the street, to go straight into music and just have so much money.
I was born Troy Wimbley from Chicago, Illinois. My mom, Melody Henderson, she was a pastor. She's a pastor now. At first she was a drug dealer, trying to make ends meet for us in Chicago. We grew up on the west side of Chicago. It was pretty rough. My dad, he actually wasn't around. He went to jail when I was 5 years old. So me and my mom, we held each other down. We was there for each other. She actually taught me the best she could. She made me go to church. She actually forced me a few times to go. And I'm very grateful that she did that, because that actually started me into what I love now, music, singing, and writing. Pretty much after that, I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. This is my calling from God, is to sing, to try to change people's spirit. They come in sad, I can sing, I can make them smile, just to uplift them. And that was pretty much what made me really love music.
I'm Flossie from Whobanger Records, president of Whobanger. I help Ray J with his record label and Knockout Entertainment. I oversee Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block. I oversee his record label, Donnie D Productions. And then my newest venture is with Blast Media, where I oversee all the new business developments, where we take in, do mergers with big companies that want to start a record label, mostly media companies, TV networks. They want to capitalize off the music industry, and then I help them put it all together and turn it into money. I made it a point to focus on the business. Everybody knew it is called the music business, but I would call it the business of music. So everybody who would know me would say, Flossie's about his business. So it became where Daz and Corrupt would say, hey, let's take this white guy, go bring him to Capitol Records, he'll negotiate us a deal. Because I made it a point to understand every legal contract, all the business and the books, the publishing. I read and I read and read until I knew what I was talking about. So I can go negotiate these big deals with big labels, with attorneys, and understand what I'm getting myself into, not just signing a piece of paper because somebody's going to give me $100,000. As much as you look at the crossing line, hey, I just signed this piece of paper, you're going to give me that check? You're focused on that check. But I'm focused on the contract. And I know we're going to get that check if we get the contract right. And then we're going to get more if I get it right.
Sometimes when you go in there looking for money, sometimes you get vamped out of that, get cheated out of that type of stuff. I would say I didn't get my jest of the Man in Black as far as financially, but far as accolades and people knowing what I do and knowing that I'm certified platinum off of that, it actually In the beginning, it looked like a loss, but now the maturity of this thing that I'm learning from the music business, it has actually turned into something that taught me a lesson, that made me stronger and more knowledgeable of the business. And I think everybody needs that, because you have to be awake and waking up, because it's just not about fame and partying and fun. It's really a business side that goes with it. And, like Left Eye and TLC, they can definitely attest to this. The late great Left Eye and TLC, they knew that. But Fan Man was big. When the album before Fan Man was big, people thought they were really, they was balling, and they wasn't.
I got really lucky. I found out through a middle school friend. He told me that Quincy Jones was looking for a driver. He remembered that I was a big fan of Quincy Jones and I'd studied his music in school. And so the light went on. And I thought, well, that means that I'll be able to I'll go everywhere with it. I was the last interview, and I got the job. The music business no longer develops artists, which is why the indie movement is so big now. The word development means a lot to me, and that is the difference between when I came through the music business and now.
I don't think they have the same approach, compared to the older artists back in the day from the Motown era. They developed them because they wanted those artists to last a lifetime.
I'm a big R&B head, and I really appreciate what it is nowadays, and I think you can't call it R&B anymore. I think they have it they could call it a new genre. They call it trap soul. I think Bryson Tiller brought that out pretty tough. You got people like that. You got Black nowadays with Problems and stuff like that, and the style that they rap, and it's kind of like a rap soul kind of thing, But from the back in the days, I'm talking, I go all the way back to Aretha Franklin, to Smokey Robinson, The Tracks of My Tears, to the Isley Brothers, from where Ice Cube sampled from, to a classic Michael Jackson, to Rick James. You think Juicy from Biggie Smalls. That's where a lot of it comes from, just these classic tracks. And that's how I found this old music, because when I was listening to like Ready to Die, or I was listening to all these classic albums, I wanted to know where my music came from. So I went back looking into, I think about the times when the older generation, when I was growing up, and they would tell me like, for a youngster, this was music from my days. This beat was sampled from back in my days, and now I understand why. Because I'm that guy now. I'm like, youngster, appreciate where your music comes from. Know where this comes from.
Right now, the industry knows it has a window of about 18 months to release it, work it, get them back in the studio, release another record. The first record's always going to be great because they had years to develop a sound, a style to get that first record. The second album, they call it the sophomore jinx, always sucks because they're trying to record an album while they're getting used to a new lifestyle of travel, public appearances, touring, everything else, and now they're trying to cram what took them 5 years to develop into 6 months of writing, recording, and everything else.
To break an artist today, you have to have the minimum of $1 million. Where's that $1 million coming from? It comes from the record companies. The record companies put that kind of money behind these artists to break them. And the regular layman, the regular individual that is aspiring to be, they don't have the resources. So what do? They approach the internet, they get out, they sell their own music, they go door to door if they have to. We see guys all the time that ask us to listen to their music. It's like, hey brother, listen to my CD, and you give them that time. Like a person like myself, I want to give them that time because they need to be heard as well.
It's going to be hard to come out with a record with an artist that's not a monster like Beyonce or somewhere, that's an R&B record that's going to break. Because what happens is, if they don't know the artist or the brand, you're going to need to hear something familiar, whether it's a rap section with a famous rap artist, which you probably see a lot, to get the kids wanting to hear the record. Because a lot of times you hear a record on the radio and you go, man, I don't like that record. But as you hear it again and and again and again. You're humming the melody, you're singing the song, and next thing you know, you like the song.
The record labels are really kind of, they just want to make some money, really. Their point of view is different than ours, because we're creative, you know, we're coming from like feeling good and the song feels good, and you know, we come from that, where they're just like, what station can it play on? You know, how far will this record be able to chart? What can we do to make this record like a pop record? Should we get like another rapper on it? It's more of a business point of view.
Honest with you, man, I've never been a supporter of the style and the operation and the formula of record companies, to be honest with you. I'm a musician as well. I play piano, put a couple albums out, projects out, sing, songwriter, and I've never given my seed to a record company, you know. I've always tried to do it myself, you know, from the late 80s, you know, putting records out on my own. So I've never agreed with that formula, you know. The money that is poured into the artists from the record company, they have to pay that back. It's a bad deal. I'm kind of happy that they have been kind of moved out of the way. That's the old way of doing things.
Yeah, music ain't good today. Nowadays, it's not good, bro. Not good at all. I always say that, you know. I always say it's just trash. I don't like it at all. You know, I'm from, you know, I grew up in 95. You know, I was born in 95, right? But I still know all the old music, you know? I grew up still listening to everything. So, you know, I listen to Big L. You know, some people don't even know who Big L is. And that's one of the best lyricists out there. That was out there, you know, he died. You know? So from today's day, like, all the shit they say, well, doesn't mean nothing at all.
Back in the days, A&R, artists and repertoire, that era was, the music industry was heavily staffed with A&R. And it was because you'd have 12 or 15 in the company, because we didn't have the internet. We had to scour the universe and go, hey, there's some dude on the corner, rap his ass off. Hey, there's a guy I saw at the barbershop singing. So we'd have to send people out to go find that person and bring them back to the camp and say, what do we got? The A&R's job was now to nurture that artist, developing into a star, because right now it's the rawest form. Not to say they weren't talented when we met them, but we're going to turn it into what society sees as a star.
So I got into the music business probably in the late 80s, early 90s, getting into the club scene, throwing concerts, doing different little promotional stuff just in the Seattle area. And so doing that, I started building a relationship with a lot of different artists. Some of the larger acts that I used to bring in back in the day, like we did Janet Jackson. We would bring in the whole Death Row family, you know, and they would bring Snoop, everybody. And then I would also bring in a lot of local underground acts, especially from the Bay Area at the time, because they was you know, like a hotbed for a lot of your underground talent back in the late 80s, early 90s. And that's where I came into contact with Sibo, Spice One, Killer Tay, Marvelous, E40, you know. Now the whole industry has changed. It started changing back when they were starting to phase out the CDs and DVDs, when they started talking about going to download. This was pre-iTunes, you know, when they were trying to stop iTunes. One of the big reasons they were trying to stop iTunes was because the labels made so much money off of the physical CDs. You know, the actual product, the manufactured product. You know, we would manufacture CDs for 60 cents, maybe $1 by the time you finish with artwork, everything all in. And we're selling them for $11, $12. So, you know, we're profiting, you know, $10, $11 a CD. And to some young guys, that's a whole lot of money. We don't have to sell, you know, 1 million CDs as an independent to be, you know, very successful. You know, we could sell 50,000 CDs and make $500,000, and everybody's happy. 50,000 independent game, that's ghetto gold.
What you do is, don't press up nothing and give it away. You want to promote something, put it on YouTube. They're going to steal it. They're going to give it away. It's easy. It's very easy.
YouTube, in essence, became our A&R department. So now when somebody says, Flossie, this guy's dope, and I go, I can go Google and YouTube dope artists, and I'll find 100 of them, and then let me pick who I like.
From what it sounds like A&R in its capacity doesn't exist in the way that it used to?
Nowhere close. It is the pressure that's put on these men and women that are in those positions now. It creates this atmosphere of fear where you have to sign something that already has X amount of followers, be it on Facebook, YouTube, downloads, iTunes, Amazon, some type of traction that will say to the head of the company, the likelihood of this failing is very small.
It's always good to find an artist that already has something going on with YouTube views, with Twitter, Facebook. They got the numbers on the Instagram because it shows us the fans like it. So it takes less guessing. Like, I don't want to go spend $200,000-$300,000 and guess because then I got a gut feeling. I'd rather have 1 million people telling me, hey, we like that artist, because then I got a good base to spend my money on, something to bank on.
There's a major difference in being an artist on a major label versus being an independent on your own label. And that's just because you can go sign to a major label, your album might not come out. You don't have control of your budget. They can spend $500,000 on a video. I'm sure if I sat down with any one of my artists, I'd be like, "Would you want to spend $500,000 on a video, or you take $250,000 and I take $250,000 and we go do a $10,000 video and put it out ourselves?" That's what we're gonna do because we got bills to pay, families to feed, everything else, and we're just gonna put out another album next year and we'll call it a day, and then let that album do what it's gonna do, and we'll put out another one. We need another $500,000 for the next one.
I think with being independent, it really makes you see and make you really respect the music business because you're your own boss. It's no time to play. It's no time to party. You have to really put 110% in whatever you're doing.
Give us a little sample, man. When you do your thing, put the earphones on. Where is the soul? Do you still have one? Or is it so?
The upside to being independent is you pretty much own your legacy, you own your masters, you own things. And that's a good thing when you have children because you want to leave something for them. You don't want a lot of artists with major record deals, sometimes they leave their family and their children in debt. And it's a lot of that going on right now. A lot of our legendary artists have because of a major record label, they have left their children and family members in some type of debt.
The stories we hear about people that sell millions of records and they are living in apartments and not being able to pay rent. I wish it was much more honest, where we could see the real numbers. But as artists, no one wants to think about the dollars. The real artists never want to think about, what's going on financially because they just want to be signed and they just want to get their music out. But at the end of the day, or after performing 5 years, maybe even 10 years, and you're looking back and saying, wow, millions of records sold, and I don't have what I thought I would have at this particular stage of my life.
So it's like when we blew up, when Josie blew up, wow, what did I do when Josie blew up? I did everything when it bought me some jewelry.
Hold up, listen.
You know what I'm saying? So that's us, man. But now I thank God that he kept us here for over 15 years. You know what I'm saying? And we still here, still making music.
If you're young and don't have experience in the game, in the industry, it makes you forget about the real thing that's going on, like publishing, royalties, and real things, not to get tied into a contract that would not let you out, put you on the shelf and stuff like that,
Once you become a multi-platinum artist, you can renegotiate and get yourself a better deal, and that's what a lot of your top artists do. But I'm sure their very first deal, your first deal is gonna be your worst deal.
The record label used to be, the industry was more, the artist would get an advance like you were talking about. The older way, they would get an advance, say $100,000, and they would take 14 to 18% of sales, less than 20%. So the label ends up, in essence, 80-20. And at that time, they didn't take merchandising and tour money. Sometimes they would negotiate it, but for the most part, they didn't participate in any other revenue stream. But it was 80-20. And then as the revenue started shrinking, sales started dropping, they went to these deals called 360 deals.
The so-called 360 deals. And these deals are keeping the talent entrapped for a very long time. You know, they get a large sum of money, or sometimes not much money, but they're locked into record deals that pretty much have them enslaved for years.
Any type of money that you make, we want a percentage of. So they structured it to be a little bit different, to where like, okay, cool, we're gonna do this, but you're tied into 4 albums, you're really locked in. And in fact, if the artist goes and speaks at a seminar about something not relative to music, or they get an acting gig, you're gonna have to kick down some of that money to that label in these 360 deals. Once you go and lock in that brand, that record label owns your name and likeness, you don't own it.
Nowadays, it's all about radio play. That's where it's evolved to. Your big artists, your multi-million selling artists and all that, they're getting a lot of radio play. Whether it's country western, whether it's the hip hop, it's the rap, those artists are basically what we call commercialized. You know, they've crossed over. And you gotta look at who's buying, you know, the majority of our records. And statistics show that it's your, you know, teenage Caucasian white women and white girls who buy probably 60 to 70% of the music. So once you know what those demographics are, you have to kind of gear your music and your direction towards that market.
Well, I think now you're noticing, well, hopefully you see it more often, but you do notice that the artist comes in and they're conscious of their revenue streams. Before it'd be like, I want a record deal. Well, here's $100 grand. Let me take here, just sign this paper right here. Oh, thanks, man, that's great. You know, 5 years later, they're broke. And they're like, what the hell happened? It's because that paper you signed. And I think now they come in and go, look, I have my own merchandise. I don't want you messing with my merchandise. I want to keep it all. I already have my own publishing setup. So they're very aware of the revenue streams now, where before it was like Chinese to them.
The channels of exposure on one level have shrunk down so much. Okay, used to be in the United States of America over 5,000 independent radio stations nationwide. Okay, they don't exist anymore. KGLH is the only independent radio station in California. Okay, everything has been corporatized, and all the music comes in through one channel now. So all you hear is one thing out of the various extensions of those channels.
The internet was our internet. You know, back in the day, we were the only kids on the block, you know, breaking news. We have learned to embrace it, and we found a way to kind of sell our station through the internet. But a few years ago, the internet surpassed us in advertising sales.
The urban stations are disappearing, the urban markets. They're called rhythmic now. There's a few urban stations, but now they're called rhythmic top 40 leaning stations, or rhythmic crossover. And then you have top 40 crossover stations, which seems to be popping up more and more. And those stations play the most popular songs in the country, whether it's pop, country, rock, whatever, kind of like your Kiss FM in LA.
So there's no individuality as far as programming. When K-Day was here, it was an independent radio station. K-Day didn't play the same thing that KGLH played. Okay? KGLH never played our hip hop, and we respected that. Okay? They never played our records. Okay? We never took them to KGLH, but K-Day did. That was their format.
I genuinely love the audience. I genuinely love the music. I love it. I'm going to play it.
In the 90s, I was taken aback a little bit about all the sampling. I really couldn't get with it. There's much more sampling going on than before, only because that's also another way of creation. They're taking great music from the past and they're making it their own. And today I see no problem with that.
It's a perfect example of kids, what you do when you don't have access. to music, music instruments, but yet you want to express yourself. I think sampling is a highly creative art form when it's done right. I think when you have a kid, from way back from Grandmaster Flash to Sugar Hill Gang to any of those groups, those are all samples. That's an example of when you don't provide this, the soul of a human being, the passion and the soul will guide someone to create what they did with hip-hop and sampling.
Well, you know what? I did it. I mean, I never really sampled. I did form of interpolation. I would take a certain track and kind of redo it, make it my own. Okay, one of my biggest songs, Trump Lights. It was done that way. Okay, and I'm not mad about it, but it's just if somebody steals from you, don't break my window. Just take it. Don't hurt me in the process. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna steal from somebody, why trash their house? Okay. And if you're gonna do a good job, okay? I'm gonna get paid regardless, okay? And I think that's probably what's most insulting part about it. People just butcher good songs in a lot of ways, okay? And I think that's probably, as an artist, part I don't too much care for. The butchery, okay? You took a great song and turned it into some bullshit.
Honestly, it's just the samples back then were better than the ones now. Why? Because I've always been, I'm going to just keep going back to lyrics. Lyrics is always something I listen to, no matter what. You know what I mean? So I don't care if the beat is dope now, but if you're not saying anything that relates to me or anything, like, it's not really good to my ears, bro.
One side of it is honoring those artists. The business side of it was initially they were sampling, feeling as if they could do that without getting permission to license. But I think once we got beyond that, the revenue that it created for a lot of estates that were pretty much laying dormant. Music, songs that were, once they started going deeper and deeper and deeper through these older catalogs, it was wonderful for these families.
When I started doing videos, I was part of a movement. Public Enemy was just getting started, Run DMC. Hip-hop was at a new threshold, and I just happened to be a kid that was into visuals. I went to clubs. I actually started as a DJ, so I went to clubs. I knew a lot of the artists, and I was like, hey, can I do your video? I could go up to Russell Simmons, who lived in my neighborhood, and say, like, Russell, man, let me do a video for Run. And he was like, well, Run's my biggest act right now, but since you're just getting started, maybe I'll let you do, one of the newer acts coming up. And I was like, cool. Now, looking back in retrospect, I was like, this was the real deal. It's like, when I was around, Michael Jordan was playing, I was just lucky. Muhammad Ali, when I was a little kid, was a boxer. I think I was just out there at the right time, and that's when it was the best. I tell people, like, if I was just starting now, and this is the music that I'd have to work with, thinking that it's the best music, I think naturally what would happen is, after a while, some old cat would turn me on to, like, some of these people we talked about, your Marvin Gaye, let's say your Boyz II Men guy, Jodeci, and I'd be like, whoa, because you could tell just listening to it, like, this doesn't sound like the stuff that's out now. And I'd even say the stuff that's out now sounds like they're trying to imitate that stuff.
Nobody wants to put a real bass on top of their pre-recorded beat. Nobody wants to put a real guitar. Very, very, very few cats do these things, okay? Everybody, you can buy a guitar player in a box. Okay, you can buy a ling-a-ling. You can't buy a solo. You cannot buy a Purple Rain solo. It ain't gonna happen, okay? That's where your soul comes from. You can't give somebody you can't go to the Guitar Center. I need to buy that Purple Rain solo that Prince did in 1985, whatever it was, okay? You're not gonna reproduce that, okay?
It's showing the kids that that it's not really new. They're just adding their twist to our old stuff. So
Puffy started sampling more of the melodic section of songs, which then came the term hip hop R&B, because it wasn't just the drum loop or just the drum track. It was a section. It was a melodic section of the tune that then was being used as the chorus for someone to rhyme over. I was at Windswept Pacific for 10 years, a music publishing company. I was in charge of their urban department there, and I heard the songs. This record came out, Dr. Dre, Snoop, record to Chronic. I was like, oh, cool. And I remember hearing the record, and I remember driving in one day and hearing this dunk 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 dunk, thinking, that sounds like I Get Lifted. And I said, I don't remember them calling in for a license for that. We owned KC and the Sunshine Band catalog. And that's the main sample all the way through, Gin and Juice. So, you had that issue, and we called, and we had the copyright department, the licensing department called. Well, we worked it out, but they had to pay a lot of money because they didn't call ahead of time.
When you think about the target market and the demographic of the 80s and the 90s, and you think about the age that we're in, the generation nowadays, if you look at what music has come to, we're the target market. You listen to commercials, you hear 90s rap, you hear, stuff like, this is how we do it, Montel Jordan, that's the anthem when we used to go out on Friday nights. And, but nowadays, you have all of these new artists sampling from there, like you hear bits and pieces. As producers from the 90s, Dr. Dre would sample from, Alex Cross, The Edge, or you would sample from The Temptations, you would sample from the classics. It is what it is for the art of the game. And but like, you talk about the fact that the producers have the technology they have nowadays with softwares and apps and programs. Could you imagine if you had All Eyes on Me produced by, with the technology we have nowadays and the sound, the clarity. We had a conversation about it the other day that music nowadays, the beats are amazing, but the flows aren't something that'll stick with you. It's not like an Illmatic, it's not like a Chronic, it's not like a like a classic album where it's just timeless, where you can listen to it and just be like, oh. I think the last timeless album we could honestly say we had might be Damn by Kendrick Lamar. It's gonna stand the test of time because of how lyrical it is.
What I've realized recently is there's a double-edged sword with what's going on today with the internet. The internet is an amazing tool. One great thing about the internet is everyone can showcase who they are. Whereas before, you wanted to be a part of a record company. You wanted to be a part of that big stamp that said, hey, I'm with this huge record company. But now we have individuals selling hundreds of thousands of recordings online and some great material. And it's not being blocked so much by the record companies.
Guys can buy a laptop, okay? They buy a laptop, they buy Reason, they buy Pro Tools, and they sit home and you ain't got to program a beat no more. You just take the beat, paste and cut and paste it, okay? You say some stupid shit on top of the record, okay? And if your buddies like it, you put it on YouTube. And you want to make a video? Grab your mom, your dad's video camera, come up with something silly to go along with that record, put it on YouTube, okay? So now you're getting hits, and the digital age changed everything.
Access to the entire world from a little device like a cell phone. You can do it. All you need is passion, and all you need is drive. Eliminate the middleman.
We used to build these $1 million studios, and we'd come in and fly people in, and they would just sit down and for weeks try to create a hit. Now what we do is we have songwriters, kids in their bedroom that are making hits in their little bedroom in their PJs, and they write the song, they reference it, and they send it over to us. And we hit a record that's amazing. Or it gives us a good starting point, and then we can go, guess what? Let's turn this into something big.
Well, I think technology has hurt and helped, the industry. One is definitely more accessible now. Back when Earth, Wind & Fire, the Commodores, you had to get a whole band. It was a major production to put a Earth, Wind & Fire album together. Whereas right now, you don't even have to go to the studio. We don't even go to the studios no more. We stopped going to studios probably in 2000, We bought some MacBooks, downloaded the music ourselves, producers emailed us the tracks, we pulled them up. We might be on the road in the hotel. You throw some blankets and stuff in the bathroom, in the shower. All you need is a good mic. We record it all ourselves, email it back to the producer, tell him to mix it up, chop it back. Later on that night, we got a mix and master song.
I mean, I feel like, the music has evolved. It's taking a different direction. The beats are definitely a lot more banging. The quality, the sound, everything, has really changed. And I mean, that's the reason that we get the music that we get now, because I mean, all the technology and everything that, is being put into, I guess how would I explain this? The digital factor, I guess,
I'll do a track here, and then there's a guy in New York that's gonna do a hook, and a guy in Atlanta does a hook, and Trey listens to it, and, oh yeah, I like that one. It's like people kind of like, it's pieced together. I did a song, me and a girl named Jimmy James, the artist I work with, and his name was Prothetic. We did a song together, but I never met him. I sent him the track, he rapped on the track, he sent it back. I've never even talked to the dude on the phone. You know what I'm saying? But it happened to come out good. We got lucky because he did a good job, but he comes in here, I would have walked past him on the street and never even knew that we did a song together. But that's just the way it is now. Where before, Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones, they was in the room, for months, sleeping in the room, whatever.
Even up until about 5 years ago, if you wanted to put a record out, you had to at least make some CDs. You don't need to make CDs anymore. You just, once it comes digital, it goes viral. You email it to your friends. You put it on various websites, iTunes, Rhapsody, whatever the case may be. You make one CD, make 4 CDs for $35, put it on iTunes, CD Baby. Okay, they take it viral for you, and if you got a hit, they'll pay you.
In terms of technology, I get this a lot when I go speak at music events. I'll be on a panel with all the presidents of the big labels, and then the radio personalities there. Everybody talking about their different views and outtakes for what they think the digital world has done to the industry, meaning free downloads. And the major labels, they hate it because it's really put a damper on their digital sales. The independent, I'm independent, I've always been independent my whole career. I love it because what's now happened is where the major labels, it put people like myself and other artists on an even playing field. Because now I can go to the internet with a radio record today and compete with what they're doing because they spend $1 million on it. I can do it for little or nothing. I can go shoot a video for $1,500, have a high-end video, have a song on a YouTube, have a single serviced out in the marketplace tomorrow for $1,500.
We were able to make our first album, okay, for like $5,000, okay, which was unheard of, okay, unheard of. So when we got signed to CBS, they gave us another $100,000 to make our second album, okay. We made that one for like $6,000, and we took our time. But because I bought a studio at my home and had a chance to rehearse and practice everything, when I went to the studio to push the button, everything was programmed. I went to my executive producer with my demo tape already finished.
You can't argue with the benefits of working in the computer now. But before, we from the tape days, the 24-track tape days, you were just basically just working with limits. It was just, you were just kind of like navigating your limits because it was always a limit to tracks and a limit to this, a limit to that, where now there's not really, you're not really working from that point of view.
Computers has definitely advanced us as far as what you're able to do, but it's hurt I think it's hurt the singers and the band, that feel that you used to get when you go to Earth. And you've definitely lost the soul in it because it's a computer.
From R&B to rap, needs a different contrast, But definitely from before and now it has changed a lot. I feel like back in the days, music had more soul and more meaning to it. Like they were, giving you a story and something you could relate to.
What I think what happened is that the music became too mechanical, synthetic. Computers, they don't have a soul. They have completely eliminated bridges out of songs. They have taken changes out of songs, I was listening to Ribbon in the Sky. Stevie Wonder went up 3 semitones within 4 minutes and 58 seconds of a song, He took it up 1/2 step, 8 go round. They don't know anything about half steps, you know what I mean? So when I listen to the music back in the day, just the great orchestration, the string arrangements in the song, they've taken all that stuff out. And now it has been reduced to maybe 2 chords. I think the artists, some have become lazy.
Everyone sort of takes the shortcut because they don't have a choice. I think the combination of great technology and development is wonderful when that happens. When a kid has access, like a John Mayer. What had existed in the record business for years and years and years, which is to get signed and have a big marketing budget, have a big promotion budget, and they put out your record and they, it becomes this you get on that train. If you don't have access to that train, it has required these artists to be more creative about how they go about getting their music out there.
If you go back, I've been listening to J. Cole since he came up, and basically every song he says is a story, it's a meaning to it, and the thing that he says, and he kills the new rappers off, there's lines, he's like, looking at rappers like, what the fuck you got a deal for, which is true,
There's so many internet radio stations. There are thousands of ways for artists to get heard, okay? It's just that not enough people tune in at this point in time for you to be heard, okay? Everybody has an internet radio station. I'm going to be a jock on one shortly. And now, getting people to tune in to your radio station, okay? How are you going to do that? You still have to advertise away from the fashion. So, although, like I said earlier, technology is your friend and your enemy, okay? And right now, in some levels, it's a fine line between the two.
It's required people to artists to really make that extra effort to figure out how they're going to get exposure.
I don't have any tolerance for excuses of reason why, man, I don't have no money, I can't make it, I'm a dope artist, I'm a talented MC, I don't need to hear that. You're not ready for the game. You need to get out of the way for people that are ready, because the reality is, there's little kids, you see them in their room, on a messy bed, their hair's not even done, they're singing songs with 5 million hits. If they can do that with no money, kids are 12 years old. You can't come to me and tell me, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. You're lazy, this is not for you. The music industry is not for the weaklings. Trust me, it's a hardcore game. And when you get a deal, it gets harder.
Because guys are making music right now in their basements. They're recording albums in their garage. And funny enough, some of the product is actual quality product. And we hear it all the time. We don't know if it was done in an amazing big studio like this one here, or if it was done in a garage, but it's still great music.
I think it comes down to each individual artist's preference or taste. If an artist feels like he's gets a better feeling or and is better, productive with that old school feel, it's still out there. It's still possible to do it. But I also think you also got to stay technologically inclined. You got to evolve with the industry, to a certain extent, or you're going to get left behind. Like I said, it's just like the rotary phone. Once you get the push button phone, you start leaving out the rotary, and that's what we're going to be doing with a lot of the old soul, as you say, soul that's within the music, soul that's in the rap. It's going to get left behind.
They rap to what the kids aspire to be. They don't understand. Yeah, they don't understand the struggle yet to know. But Kendrick does do does jump into like songs with Future and stuff like that, just so he can prove to the market that he is able to rap like that he's able to do the things that people nowadays do and be good at it too.
What we see today as guys that are being built to focus on what they're wearing as far as the culture of the moment and money. When we were singing, when other guys were singing before me, they sang because it was something to appreciate and something to love and something to show creativity.
That's what I think soul music is, right? About love, heartache, and pain, ups and downs, not just balling all the time. Because, you know, let's face it, real life, everybody's not balling all the time. It's some pain somewhere.
I would just say that it's for the youngsters, they're pushing out a certain dialogue for them, a certain image for them. I wouldn't say it's good or bad, but it's not what it was back in the days. Back in the days, they had a story to tell, you know. Every lyric had a meaning behind it. Nowadays, it's just them talking. It's not really a story, you know, whether it's R&B or rap, you know, R&B has more of a story to it, but it's just to a beat, you know. It's not really any meaning behind it, to me.
Now it's about who can have a new tennis shoe, or who can come out with a new clothing line, or what the record companies are pushing in their creativity of saying who they should be, not anything about who they are. So many people talk about their first recordings or their first albums, and they're always saying, well, the record company didn't want me to do this and they didn't want me to do that. And it's mechanical. It's not organic at all. It's more or less something to do with money. And they're forgetting what it was all about. They're forgetting the passion, why they wanted to do it in the first place.
The soul comes when you find yourself, when you know who you are, or even when you're not quite, you don't know who you are, but you are feeling safety to express yourself. And that you have time to do that.
Soul music to me is like more real and more pure. I think R&B is like a combination of lots of different types of music. You know, to me today R&B could be pop.
In my opinion, when you have people like Clive Davis running Arista, handling his own A&R, Clive is a record person. He understood a hit if you just sang it with a guitar. It didn't need a bunch of production around it. A hit is a hit by itself. Now a hit is a whole bunch of production with a little singing attached to it.
The R&B artists, it seemed like they were tired of being in the lover boy music. They were trying to search for something strong to hold them and make them feel like they was hard.
See, what's going on now is it's like a popular thing. Popular thing is no matter which way. R&B, they got chefs now. You got thug chefs. Everybody is that with tats. You know, that's the image that people are trying to put across. You know, that's what's up, and that's what makes you stronger if you're an independent artist, because you don't have to do all those things.
The whole image had to fit. The image had to fit. The beats had to fit. Everything had to fit. Notice their clothes changed. You notice their hairstyles changed. Everything changed. They went into Jodeci. You would think, Jodeci, they was like one of the hard singing groups that most guys were like, all right, I'll play a Jodeci CD. They had to get to that level where you could say, all right, I'll play a Jodeci CD. I'll play a R. Kelly CD. Or I'll play this. I'll play this. I'll play it. It's cool playing it.
At a certain time when I was younger, I didn't listen to R&B per se. I was a straight, rap guy, for years. And some of the R&B that I did get to listen to was because they were on with some rappers.
You get in the car with your boys, and y'all riding a lowrider or something, and you playing this song, and it's like it's an R&B song, they gonna look at you like you a straight punk playing some R&B. But if you playing something coming on that's like, all right, he got a rapper on the hook, or he got a rapper in the song, or he's got this rap beat, this hip hop beat over this scene. Now it's cool to play.
Like I said, today's rappers, it's really more so like rhymes and riddles. It's not really meaning behind their context. It's just rapping to sound good to a beat. Back in the days, they talked about what was going on in the hood, their struggles, their problems, and people can relate to it. Well, people can relate to it nowadays in a sense, but it's more so everybody talking about the same thing, drinking the syrup and the codeine, and the smoking the weed, and so it's like it's projected to the kids that it's okay to do all that, and it's really not, because it just changes their mindset,
The artist nowadays is not creative. A bunch of followers, I do showcases all the time. I do showcases every Thursday upstairs in my club, and guys think because they have tattoos on their arms and necks, and and that makes them more harder, makes them more of a rapper because you got tattoos. What are you talking about? Okay, and I explained to them, nobody cares about what you look like on radio. Okay, nobody cares what you look like on the radio. Okay, so if you really want to be a part of something, you have to sound like something. Okay, your look comes second, especially in this stage in your career. And for the most part, if you think about it, if you look at television, if you look at listen to radio, hip hop has affected every possible nook and cranny in society.
Question would be this: did hip hop stab R&B in the back? Did hip hop kill R&B? If I was a judge, I would definitely check the motive and the intention. On the motives and their intention, I would say no. They were not. Hip hop wasn't out to destroy R&B. So their motives remain pure. But did it actually do it?
Soul, to me, soul was always going to be pure. More work was put into creating it. It's more from the heart. It's from the soul. It's like exactly what it says. R&B is like record labels and radio and commercialization, and I would definitely say that soul is more pure and R&B is more watered down.
Artists had to make complete albums, okay? And the systems that we played back in the day, the 8 tracks, cassettes, they didn't have the same options of skipping over like they do today. So you learned the whole album.
Like back in the day, that big 12-inch, pop that puppy on, put it at number 1, you let it play. You flip it over and you let it play. Why? Because you had 10 tracks of hotness. You wanted to hear the whole Earth, Wind & Fire album, not just the hit single. All of them were hit singles, and you could, you got more out of it. You paid more up front to make it, but you got more out of it because you had longevity. Earth, Wind & Fire, they put out a record every year. They put out a record every 3 to 4 years. Why? Because they could work that one album for 2.5 years and then go on tour for another 2 years. And spend quality time developing a quality album.
So these records may not have been popular to the general public, but people who partied in certain circles knew the song was the bomb. Okay? And most of these records were from the 70s. So kids who were born in the 70s didn't hear those songs. Okay? But people who were born in the 50s heard the song, knew the songs. So when the kids in the 70s who was born in the 70s hear them in the 80s and 90s, they think they're brand new songs because you never heard the original cuts. Okay? It was a hit in the 70s. Only thing happened was it was recreated, remixed, fattened up, and rapped on top of.
That's exactly where they're at. What's going on right now? Who's the hottest artist? They may even hear some remixes that we know has been remixed 3 times. This could be an old Al Green song. They don't even know who Al Green is, but they're gonna tell you that, this is my song. This is produced by. No, that was not. That is Al Green. buddy, with the grits. Hey, they don't know nothing about the grits.
I went to a club last night and I hear a remix of an Etta James song from back in the 60s. And people actually believed it was a new song. Wow. But that's because they have no recollection of their past, of where it came from. I think you need that.
We're evolving. You got kids now probably who don't know nothing about it. We're talking about soul. They're like, soul? Is that hip hop? You know, soul, is that rap? You know, no, we talking about, man, the soul of music. You know, these kids, they don't know. You know, you talk to a 14-year-old kid, they probably have no idea if we're talking about the soul of music. You know, they might ask you, is that Lil Wayne or somebody? Is that a song? Is that an artist? You know, they really don't understand the full meaning of it. You know, where it comes from, where it started, or even where it's going. You know, they're just caught up into what's right now.
I was in Starbucks the other day. Young, black girl, about maybe 16 years old, and a white kid around the same age. And I had on a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt. And the white kid goes to me, "Whoa, Jimi Hendrix, man, wow." And the girl goes, "Who is that?" And he looks at her and he goes, "You don't know who Jimi Hendrix is?" And she goes, "What song does he rap?" And I was like, wow, it's like really deep. And the reason I'm telling you that story is because one is I think everybody should know who Jimi Hendrix is, as far as I'm concerned. It should be just music 101. Everybody should know who Jimi Hendrix is. Two is it shows you where music is at right now. You know, the idea that she's like looking at this cat and saying, "Does he rap?" It's like, I think hip hop has become so commercialized right now that I think some kids think that is the only kind of music. And I'm more for people like myself, who just like is exposed to everything and then I can pick and choose. I think the kids today are only exposed to one type of music and therefore they're at a disadvantage.
Today's music, man, it has no. It doesn't have nothing to it. It's like eating an air sandwich, you know? You listen to it and you still haven't heard nothing, okay? You know, it's like chewing on air. You chewing and chewing, you're still hungry. I don't see a lot of the stuff we're hearing right now. Of course, it'll still be around. I don't see it still having the impact of Smokey Robinson's song or Marvin Gaye's song may have on people.
Music has morphed into a medley of pop. Like if you take Taylor Swift, they call it country, but it's really a pop record. You got country mixed in with pop. You got hip hop mixed with country and pop together. The base roots of a lot of hip hop records are from country base roots, bluegrass from back in that era, and then you got rock slowly integrating inside of all of those things with the guitar riffs and more aggressive pop sounds and melodies. And then I think a medley of all of those things make what we call a mainstream song today, which is called it pop. Pop songs just mean it's popular. So it doesn't mean, oh, it's a corny little bubblegum song. It just means it's popular according to the charts.
We're a melting pot. And it seems like over time, everything becomes pretty homogenized in America, no matter what it is. Well, that's what happened when they decided to merge hip-hop and R&B. The market changed and radio changed, and there's no true outlet for new R&B as we knew R&B. You know, R&B today isn't what Earth, Wind & Fire was, or Commodores or anything like that. It's really a mixture of hip-hop with singing. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that there needs to be a separate category, almost a criteria of what defines R&B.
The formula to hip-hop music comes from R&B.
R&B needs its own, and it needs to be defined by artistry. It's different. Artistry that hits your soul, takes you on a journey. That's what R&B did. It told stories. It was just another storytelling event that carried a history.
Music's always a transition. As I was saying, you go from extreme heavy metal, classic rock, we call it alternative. Just a different hybrid version of that. So R&B will never be lost. Country will never be lost. The music will be there, it'll just be a different version of that.
Somebody will come up with something and make a hit record, and then everybody would just go, oh shit, let's do that. And then everybody will do that. And that's the industry, man. It's been like that since the beginning. So it's just a matter of the one dude or one girl or one producer or whatever that come up with that one record that's just a smash, and it's not a pop record. It's just like an R&B record all day, and it's a hit record, and it crosses over or whatever, and then people will jump on that.
You have a lot of singers now that sound the same. You have a lot of music now that sounds the same. Somebody hears a track and they go, oh, I'm gonna copy that track, and I'm gonna copy this. And that's been done throughout history. Look, Quincy, another thing you would say, look, there are only 12 notes. So eventually things are gonna recycle. They've been recycling for years. But it's how creative you are in your process of what you've been influenced by. How much of that do you take versus what your own thought and creative process, what you're bringing to the table, versus what you've been influenced by? How you put that pie together.
Maybe I could be wrong, but I haven't heard a whole lot of auto-tune, okay? You know, if you rock and roll, you singing, dude. You know, if you gospel, you singing, okay? And I find myself being attracted to gospel just for the content, okay? Not that I'm somehow a holy roller, but just for the fact that I hear a real kick drum and somebody actually taking a breath and belting out some lyrics, okay? As opposed to somebody just saying some dumb shit over a pre-recorded beat.
As Ray Charles would say, always said, is that all music has its own soul. But in terms of soul as relates to R&B music, it's been hit the hardest in terms of not having exposure. I can name 7 to 8 people, artists that I know, talented, R&B, really talented. But where do they go? Labels aren't signing it. They do it on their own. They have to do it on their own.
I own a little internet radio station called Accelerated Radio, and it's at acceleratedradio.net. And I'm on a mission to revive R&B music. I want to do it at an independent level, right? So, I mean, I'm putting some of the mainstream artists in there. We can call some of the R&B cats mainstream. But for the most part, you know, I'm a lover of good soul music, you know. So I want to do my part, and I think this is what we all have to do. We have to stop waiting on each other to make a move, you know. And we all have leadership qualities in all of us. We just have to do it ourselves, you know.
Right now, there's just this hunger, you know. Everything is going back to retro. People just want the real deal. So music, clothing, styles, everything, you know, the hunger is there.
You know, just like you got microwave food, you got microwave music, you know, and it don't have time to simmer. It don't have time to simmer in its own juices. Don't taste as good, okay? It has no soul.
It's not natural, and to me, when it's pure, when it's real, it lasts forever. It's timeless, you know. When you just kind of create something, it's like a one-night wonder, or, you know, it just doesn't have that origin of purity, then it just doesn't last. It'll make some money. It'll be like #1 on the charts. But, you know, you kind of want more than that. You want something that's going to last.
So everything has changed. So it's like throwing darts at the wall. You just keep on throwing till something stick, okay? Because it takes nothing to make a record anymore.
I think that R&B is gonna come back. I think it will. I think that it will. With my 20-year theory, as I was saying, I think that in maybe like 4 or 5 years, R&B will be more important than it is now.
I think you'll see more music coming back. The sound may not be like when you hear the word R&B, you automatically think that old sappy love song, deep voice, or bellows of strong, powerful voices. I think it's going to be a little bit different version of that, with the street sound, the urban sound that you hear like the kids like right now, with that thump, that beat. Maybe it's more of a R&B on top of a pop record, or an 808 kick drum. with that heavy ass bass kicking in there, and kids want to hear that. Or maybe it's dubstep mixed with R&B. It'll be a hybrid of something.
I can't wait to see how this music will evolve. You know, surprise me, surprise me.
Where is the soul? Do you still have one? Or is it soul? I'm asking you where is the soul? Don't let no one take control. Can't front no more. Can't hide no more. Can't live life in the past. Now it's time to take control. Ain't nothing funny, gotta make money to pay the rent. How come nobody wanna answer my call now that the money's spent? I had a friend that said we can go into business and spend it 50-50. I had a girl that said she would always love me, don't worry about the money. Man, I would sing this song for nothing, nothing. The best things in life are free, yeah. Do you still have one? Or is it soul? I'm asking you where is the soul? Don't let no one take control. Are your feelings turned off? Then turn them back on. We in a crisis now. We're not living as one. This greed is about to tear us all apart, y'all. Sometimes your family leaves right before you fall. I had a friend that said we can go into business and split it 50-50. Yeah. I had a girl that said she will always be my honey, don't worry about the money. Man, I will help somebody for